Hey, everybody. It is such an honor to have Lorraine Trow and Tony Trow. They are amazing realtors in Arizona. And hey, you guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Mel. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I loved this recent webinar you did in our collaboration group, and it was all about new builds because you specialize in new builds. And I was amazed because I've never seen in all of our 30 years of doing this in the real estate industry, I've never seen agents that were so organized like you guys and that were so on top of it for your buyers with new builds, trying to get that information from home buyers that they're unaware that when they go to look at a model or look at something online, it's so easy to get trapped into an online registration, like an actual registration where they may be giving up the option to be represented as a home buyer by a separate realtor that's not working for the builder.
That's right.
Right? Because those agents in the model are working for the builder. They are representing the seller, the builder. Home buyers need separate representation to cover their rear ends, especially at a time when you hear so many horror stories from homeowners and regrets about, I mean, we've all heard them, right? About going through with and having things come up with a new build. And we know the same realtor, even, God bless her, that had to have major corrections done and find a different house to live in. It's unbelievable. Less workers coming out of the pandemic. It's been a struggle. And if you could highlight some of the ways that you avoid those horror stories with your home buyers, what would you say would be maybe the top 3 things that you would tell home buyers to watch out for, and agents how to help their home buyers?
Well, and I think you mentioned a lot of it. It's a buyer beware.
Yes.
For any purchase, right? This is a huge purchase for buyers, and they need to use their due diligence before they sign any kind of contract. And, obviously in a residential resale, you have that due diligence period, that inspection period, where you could potentially back out of that contract, and you've got it designated in the contract. With a builder's contract, when you're looking at a new build, your due diligence period is up until the point you actually sign contract.
Correct.
After that, the likelihood of you backing out while keeping your earnest money is probably going to be very low. There's some opportunities there depending on the contract of the builder, but the builder's contract is going to lean towards the builder. It's nothing negative towards the builder. They're about making money, and they're about building homes customized usually to the buyer. So if they're doing that, they want to have some skin in the game by the buyer. But at the same time, having an agent with you as a buyer is extremely important before you go out to any new build construction home. And again, Mel kind of, talked about the importance of that, because they are keeping track of who shows up, whether it's a self tour at some of these builds where you can just go in without even meeting an agent on the builder's side, or it could be just going online. And that simple, they could have your information and keep us as your representative out of the picture, in a sense of they're not going to pay us.
Okay.
So,
how can you avoid that as a home buyer, or how could agents help their home buyers avoid that? Because I myself have done it until I found out, oh, they are emailing me constantly now, and all I wanted to do was look at the models online, and now they've got my email information. It's very hard to look now at a home model of a builder that you're interested in, or even areas, without doing that. They're very tricky. They'll start letting you look at it, and then you have to sign up and give them your email. do you have a way around that? Do you have like pictures? I know you have a whole file of almost every builder, I think, in Queen Creek.
And each builder's different. Some will offer still some opportunity for a buyer's representative from outside the builder to still be part of that transaction. But really, there's not really a way around it per se. I think it's all gonna vary on the builder. My suggestion is the best way around it is reach out to a good realtor first off, and call us, and we're more than happy to help.
Absolutely.
And we will find not only the type of floor plans you're looking for, but the areas you're looking for, the community amenities and things that you're looking for. We'll find those new build communities, and then we will bring you out to them for your first visit to get you registered. And from there, you can keep coming back, an unlimited number of times with friends, family, or whomever, to be able to, continue to walk through them and make sure that that's a good fit for you. But there's a lot of questions we want to ask that builder when we're there with you, to make sure that everything's as transparent as possible, that you as the buyer are getting as much information, because knowledge is power. You don't want to put any money down without knowing what you're getting into. And there's a lot of things that we're looking for as your representative. When we have a fiduciary responsibility to our buyer, we want to protect them, and we want to make sure that the transaction's not going to be one of those regretted decisions down the line.
Right.
So Mel, you talked about, you've noticed that I take copious notes. I do. And so I'm one person that if I'm repeating it over and over and over, repetition is a success to learning. So then I create a template with that. It's pretty easy for me. So I did that, and I created a template that we use with every single builder's agent. And I keep it on my iPhone. People don't have to keep it on their iPhone, but I do, because when a client does call, I have all this information about this particular builder and their floor plans, their product. We know the product that they have very well, because we're constantly looking at it. And then when the client calls us, or the lead calls us, they know that we're knowledgeable about it. We have all the information before we even hit the models. We can give them all that information ahead of time, and then we'll share with them some pictures. And then we're scheduling that tour. When we go in, most of those agent representatives already know us. We've already built a strong relationship with them. And because they know us, they're willing to help us help our clients better. And that is another key that I would recommend. And Tony's really good too about getting to meet the superintendent on the job. We talk about those horror stories, but it's usually the superintendent that they have, the supers that they have for those builders, that can create the havoc, the mess. So get to know those people too. And they're not going to really talk to clients, but they will talk to agents if the builder's agent knows you well.
Getting to know and at least making sure that superintendent's been around for a while and sticking around that community is huge, because if they're bouncing, and sometimes it's out of their hands as well, they're getting pulled in so many different directions depending on the builder and different communities that they may be building in different locations. But really, it comes down to how well are these subcontractors being supervised during the build, because we're seeing things from luxury builders having the same issues or worse than some of the other more common name builders. So it varies across the spectrum, but it really comes down to a really good superintendent watching over their subcontractors as they're building your home.
Yes.
And also making sure we get, at least have the option to present to a buyer of having oftentimes inspections, maybe a pre-drywall inspection before they put those walls up, and we can't see the insulation and see the ductwork and everything else going on behind those walls, and the electricity, the electrical part. There's a lot of little factors. So having steps and having a builder that's open to that, to having an outside inspector come in and evaluate the work, I think it's going to show the buyer whether or not that builder is truly trustworthy.
I love that. You've done so much research and you have so many connections out there. they can actually come to you first and they can tell you what their goals are.
Mhm.
And by telling you what their goals are, you can share with them the perfect like area of the new subdivision, the models, the floor plans, the type of builder they are, the price ranges,
Yes.
where they are and how they are built out, or how long they take to build, or how their supers work. You have that knowledge for them before they even have to go out, so that they can narrow down their shopping and not just randomly waste time driving around.
Exactly.
That's awesome. See, that's so valuable. Upfront work, all the upfront work you've done. Such a resource for new
Thank you,
builds.
Mel.
It's awesome. I'm just thoroughly impressed. After we had that meeting, I'm like, dang, I gotta get these guys highlighted. I think another thing that was really interesting to me is how you went above and beyond just the subdivision and looking at what's going on in the area and the growth.
Sure. Yeah, so I used to work for City of Chandler Housing and Redevelopment Division, and so was part of planning and development when I started. So the towns and cities have a planning and development department. You can go on there and look at their maps. And so when we look at it, we know when developments are coming up, the ones that are almost closing, and the ones that are currently active. So we like to take a look at that first, and we know where they're located. And then if we notice that there's a parcel nearby that it's a commercial, it's not residential, then we can even go further into it and check things out. Now we go to the public report, we read that. And you can get that from the Arizona Department of Real Estate, but we look at those public reports, we read those pages. I have a shortcut that I use because I know specific things that I'm looking for or we're looking for. And I hit those public reports, both of us, and we read them. So we know what's coming in a community or near a community or development, sometimes before the builder's agents know. Oftentimes we go in there and we tell them, hey, or Tony tells them, hey, have you noticed that this is going to happen? And they're clueless. They had no clue that that was upcoming. So that's kind of cool that we have that knowledge base before the builder's agents.
For example, we saw a big buffer area between two different communities, and so we were curious, what is this buffer? It was odd shaped. It didn't look like something where there was going to be enough space for a big commercial building or anything like that, but at the same time it was concerning enough. We want to know what's going on behind these homes, so if we have buyers who have questions, we know. And of course it turned out to be an old agricultural runway.
Yeah,
but
cool.
We had to go down to the city and find out what that was, and find out a little bit more history about it, because of course with the old agricultural runways and a lot of these old farming communities, you had pesticides and you had toxic waste that was going into the ground. So they had to do a lot of cleanup and different things. And so you want to make sure that those things were covered and that, properly, and that you're not buying into a place where you're afraid to drink the water or drink, or eat the
plant a garden, right? I'm a gardener, as you know. Can you imagine planting a garden in your backyard and you didn't realize all the pesticides are just across the other side of the block wall?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And it's, again, just goes back to the curiosity and wanting to know what in fact is going on back there. So when we do get those questions, we have an answer.
Yes.
Yeah. I know there's an area over actually by some new subdivisions that they were unaware of themselves in south of Eastmark. They were unaware that the Williams Air Force Base had utilized an area that for, whatever they do at the military, with their war games or whatever, and utilized a storage facility there where there was ammunition. Well, the ammunition has lead in it. So it actually had to be called a Superfund site. But the builders there didn't know they were right next to that either. And so now that's an official Superfund site. And the only reason I know Superfund sites is because I had to actually look in the maps and disclose that on every appraisal.
And you never know what buyer that's going to be really important to know.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well,
And it's not against the builder's agent. Sometimes you just don't know.
you just
They don't know
yeah.
what they don't know.
They
So
don't
it's our responsibility. We take it upon ourselves, as you do too, Mel, in research. Find out everything that's nearby there. And that's what we're very good about.
Well, that doesn't just couldn't just affect your health or your gardening or whatever. It can affect your property value, your future value,
Absolutely.
once
Yes.
that word gets out. So
Yeah, because now you have to disclose it in the seller property disclosure statement when you're listing your home, because you're aware of it.
Right. People don't realize that. They think they don't need to, some sellers think they don't need to disclose things, but even if you don't use a realtor, you can get sued as a home seller.
That's right.
And so, and the more and more people are lawsuit happy, the more and more people get sued. So you want to make sure you're covered and use people that are very knowledgeable, like Lorraine and Tony Trow. So there are ways that if you have a realtor representing you, like Tony and Lorraine, you will get something done before trying it yourself. You just will. They know how to do it. They know how, they have these tight relationships with these new builders, the subcontractors, which that's huge. I don't know any other agent who has relationships with subcontractors, you guys. I don't.
Because we have strong relationships with these builder agents, a lot of the times, as soon as they know that they have a price reduction before it even hits the market, they're calling us, because they know we have some buyer clients that we took them out there, and they're just following up, right? And so we're aware of those price reductions before they hit the market. We're aware of new releases of lots. We're also aware of incentives. So if you're waiting to look on Google or whatever have you of a community you like, they may not have it updated, but we might have that information already ahead of everybody else.
If we know we have a buyer looking for a certain product, we can start shopping around immediately and finding out what that updated information is. And again, a lot of it has to do with the relationships we've already built.
Yes.
With a lot of the sales agents with these builders, the ability to just pick up the phone, call them, know that they're going to call, they're going to either answer the phone or they're going to call us right back with the answers that we're looking for is huge. And again, during the process, as your realtor, when we go out to the point, even prior to signing contract, we're going to go through a lot of this information to try to get the buyer completely aware of what they're buying and make sure we're walking the lot and taking these steps necessary to make sure that everything in the public report is covered. We're not buying something that's going to be, have big electrical power lines or a cell tower next to it or something like that that's going to cause problems down the line. But it's also, once that contract's signed, we're going to be there for those buyers every step of the way, every walkthrough. If they want us there for their design center appointment, we're there. We want to be there as often as they'll have us, but certainly to watch every step of the process, ensure that they're being protected and that, that they're getting what they're buying.
And there's accountability too, right? The super will know us, the super will see us, the builder's agents will see us. There's another pair of eyes on it. So they're held to accountability. And the incentives are different all across the board. There's some that will provide an incentive for veterans and for teachers and for nurses. And then there's others that will not. So we know them. And so if it's a difference of a few $1,000s, it may make a difference to our client. And plus, we value the service that they have performed. And if they don't want to work with a builder that doesn't value that we know the builders that will.
That's right. Builders probably love that you're organized because they don't have to worry about somebody that just wanted to open up a door.
Yes.
Actually a realtor that works hard for their client.
And we've been told that's pretty cool when you hear it from a builder's agent and they enjoy working with us. They would prefer working with us. That's huge when you have that compliment given to you by a builder's agent. We're not abrasive, right? We're pretty easygoing, but we will fight for our client, but fight in a professional manner, right? We treat everyone with dignity and respect, and that is the most pride that we have, the integrity, the transparency, the honesty. That's who we are. If you guys want to work with someone like that and knows this market well, in regards especially new builds, definitely give us a call. And we don't mind if you're 6 months out, 1 year, 2 years, let us work with you to come up with a plan. Again, we know when these new developments are coming, maybe a year from now. So we like to hit them right away, especially if someone's not ready right now. They might be ready in a year or close to a year.
Why don't you give your contact information where they can reach out if they are thinking about, 1, 2, 3 years from now. These guys, you guys, they are in it for the long haul. They are professional. They've been around. They know tons of people in the city. Like I say, we are just honored to collaborate with Tony and Lorraine. And so they come highly vetted by the Mark and Mel team. So why don't you give your contact information?
Sure.
Thumb Real Estate Group, brokered by eXp Realty,
where planting your roots matters. And our phone number is 480-799-3133.
Awesome. Just love being able to refer you. So
thank you so much. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend and we will talk to you next time.
Sounds good.